Hey all! Amanda here with your full recap of American Ninja Warrior Season 15, Episode 8, Round 1 of the Semifinals. This episode was non-stop action and brought back a few surprises from previous seasons that I was not expecting, but that will definitely make things more interesting. 24 men and 8 women will run each episode, with the highest ranked athlete being pitted against the lowest ranked athlete. I'm still not exactly sure how they're dividing the competition, as tonight saw all the finishers from Round 2 and Round 5 run. So it doesn't seem like they're seeding from across the complete season, nor are they pairing athletes from the first 2 episodes against each other. It's going to be hard to make predictions when I have no way of figuring out who we will see in any given round, except for the last round. Tonight, we also saw the return of the safety pass. The 2 fastest finishers of the night run in another head-to-head, with the winner earning a safety pass for the Vegas finals. Should the owner of the safety pass fall in either Stage 1 or Stage 2 in the finals, they'll get a second chance to run that course. Also back from previous seasons, the 2 fastest non-finishing athletes become wildcards and get to advance to Vegas as well. I love that the wildcards are back, but I'm still not sure I like the head-to-head competition. It definitely makes for a more exciting show, but again, one slip-up could cost an elite ninja their shot and send a less experienced ninja to Vegas. But I guess it's a great way to test who can handle the pressure. I don't know, I'm still torn. But as for the action tonight, again, the head-to-head semifinal course will now consist of 6 obstacles instead of the usual 8, and the 6 obstacles that made up the course for round 1 of the semifinals included home run, where athletes jump diagonally back and forth across 4 steps to the landing platform. Then face spring forward, where ninjas must lache across 3 springy bars that bend when athletes land on them. Then we had beehive, where athletes lache across 3 honeycomb-shaped objects. The second honeycomb is sideways, so athletes must rotate in 90 degrees before moving on. Next was hopscotch, where athletes must grab several boards to cross. The first square is stationary, while squares 2 and 3 are placed side by side and swing forwards and backwards. Square 4 also swings back and forth, while squares 5 and 6 are stationary and parallel to each other. Competitors must switch their hand placement from a forward grip to a side-by-side grip. The 7th and final square spins in all directions and has ledges on the side. Then, returning from seasons 11 and 12, we had the slingshot. This obstacle consists of 8 cradles made of bungee cords that varied in size and height. Athletes must use a bar to jump from cradle to the other side, which now leads to the final obstacle. And to end the course, we now have an 18-foot rope climb that carries ninjas over a wall to the buzzer. As for the competition itself, the first run of the night saw 16-year-old hype man Ben Behrens face off against his favorite ninja and role model, Tyler Yamauchi. The athletes were mirrored in movement throughout the first 2 obstacles. Tyler took an early lead, dismounting beehive first, but Ben caught up and passed Tyler, completing hopscotch first. So although Ben fell first crossing slingshot, Tyler had to complete the course to advance, but he too fell a few moves later, sending Ben to the finals and sending Ben's little sister to become overcome with emotion. Ben's father Scott will compete later tonight to try and become the first father and son duo to head to Vegas. The night's next run was against 2 best friends and training partners, Maddie Howard and Ellie Tippett-Wooten. However, with Maddie's extra experience on the ninja course against rookie Ellie, she was able to take the lead through spring forward and didn't give an inch the rest of the way. Both ladies made it to slingshot, where Ellie fell at the halfway point, sending Maddie to the finals, even though she fell 2 moves later. Our next run of the night saw 2 more longtime friends pitted against each other when Chris DeGangi and Mike Salenzi hit the course. The men were mirrored in movements until Chris took the lead on beehive. Mike was able to pass Chris on hopscotch, giving him the edge, so when Chris fell on slingshot, Mike automatically advanced to the finals. However, after a fist bump from Chris, Mike was able to hit a buzzer with a time of 2:13.89. Our next run saw Caden Lebsack take on Glenn Albright, where both men flew across home run, but then Caden soared through the rest of the course. Glenn ended up falling on Hopscotch, and Caden went on to hit a buzzer in a time of 1:18:26, sending him to Vegas. And no episode would be complete without a few digested runs thrown in for good measure. And I'd really love to know what poor Cam Baumgartner ever did to deserve a permanent place on that list, but his run was yet again digested, where he ran against Tatsumi Yanaba. Cam took an early lead, and Tatsumi ended up falling on Hopscotch. Cam went on to hit a buzzer with a time of 1:58:39 and is heading to Vegas. Hopefully, we get to see his run in full there. Next to have their runs digested were Maggie Owen and Violet Capetto. Though Maggie took an early lead, Violet was able to catch up by Hopscotch, but Maggie dismounted first. Both women fell on Slingshot, but since Maggie had finished the last obstacle first, she advances to Vegas. Next up was dog adoption advocate Rue Yori facing off against rookie Barry Boyd. 8-time vet, Rue was able to hold the lead through Spring Forward and Beehive, but started to slow through Hopscotch. Rue's fingers just slipped off the last board on Hopscotch, sending him to the water below. And though that meant Barry secured his spot to Vegas, he continued on and hit his second career buzzer of his debut season with a time of 1:49:99. Next up was Emily Keener running against Riley Porter. The ladies mirrored moves through the first 3 obstacles, where Riley dismounted first. Emily passed her on Hopscotch, however missed the last board and hit the water. Riley was able to complete Hopscotch, sending her to the finals. She went on to try to hit a buzzer, but Riley missed the third cradle and Slingshot, ending her run for the night. Our next digested run had college student Max Feinberg paired up against firefighter Brian Beckstrand. Brian seemed a little slow through the course and ended up falling on Slingshot, ending his shot at becoming the first father-son duo to advance to Vegas, as his son Kai would race later tonight. Max went on to hit a buzzer in a time of 1:39 even, sending him to the finals. Next up was Brian's son Kai Beckstrand facing off against James Wilson. I don't even know what to say about this run, other than if you blinked, you probably missed it. Kai flew through the course so fast that he was already dismounting Hopscotch, having skipped the first board, while James had just started Beehive. Unfortunately, James missed the last honeycomb and hit the water, but it would not have mattered, as Kai ended up hitting his second buzzer in under a minute this season, taking a time of 57.76 seconds. Next up was Ben's father, Scott Behrens, running against Derek Pavone. Though Derek was first to cross home run, Scott passed him on Spring Forward and kept that lead through the rest of the course. Derek fell crossing Slingshot, and though Scott's hands slid from the last bar moments later, he advances to the semifinals, becoming one half of the first ever father-son duo to head to Vegas together. Our next digested run saw Jaywan Turner pitted against Hans Hertz, where Hans took an early lead crossing Spring Forward and kept that lead up the rest of the course. Jaywan fell on the second cradle of Slingshot, as Hans went on to hit his second buzzer his rookie year with a time of 1:36:49. Then, fan favorite Austin Gray ran against Cade Perkins, but they had their runs digested. And much like the previous run, Austin took an early lead and held it the entire course. Cade fell on the second Slingshot, and Austin went on to hit a buzzer in a time of 1:31:25, advancing to Vegas. Then, it was Austin's girlfriend, Jalen Bennett, running against his prized pupil, Taylor Green. Jalen was also Taylor's gymnastics coach before getting into Ninja. And in a stunning twist, Jalen ended up getting a bad dismount from the trampoline, causing her to be a little short when trying to grab the first bar on Spring Forward, sending her to the water below. And though that meant that Taylor had already advanced, she forged through the rest of the course and ended up hitting her second buzzer, her rookie year, with a time of 2:19:44, making history for the first woman in Ninja history to accomplish this task. She is definitely one to keep her eye on in the future. Our next run had another two fan favorites running head-to-head, where gnarly Nate Hansen faced off against cat lover Jackson Twait. This race was head-to-head from the start, where Jackson held the slightest of leads throughout, but Nate stayed right on his heels. Nate dismounted from Hopscotch first, gaining an advantage, but it all fell apart when Nate's bar landed unevenly in the third cradle of Slingshot, and try as he might, he was unable to recover. Jackson went on to hit a buzzer in a time of 1:31.96, and Nate finally let go of the bar, hitting the water below. And in our final digested run of the night, we saw Josh Ferguson face off against Jarrah Boyd. Jarrah took an early lead and left Josh in the dust, where Josh ended up missing the second set of boards on hopscotch and hit the water. Jarrah was able to hit a buzzer in a time of 1:19.61, coming in with the third fastest time of the night, just missing out on his chance to run for the safety pass. The two athletes that did take the fastest times of the night were, of course, Kai Beckstrand and Caden Lebsack. Both teams had faced each other in local competition, as well as in the juniors, so they knew each other well as they approached the course for the safety pass run. The course was again switched up for the safety pass runs, and the 6 obstacles that made up this head-to-head course included Home Run, which led to the Flying Shelf Grab. We then had the return of Wing Nuts, which consisted of 3 wing nuts that ninjas must swing to build momentum before lashaying across. This led to Sideways, which saw the return of the Spin Hopper, where athletes must jump up 5 short bars that led to a horizontal bar in the middle that athletes must kip across, which led to 5 more short bars that rotate back and forth. Ninjas must time their grabs as they descend down the other side until they can lachet to a slightly angled board. This leads to the 18-foot rope climb that leads up steps to the buzzers. Both men were moving at breakneck speeds, yet matched each other move for move through the first half of the course. Caden got slightly hung up on the second last board on Sideways, giving Kai his first real lead this run. However, Caden ended up jumping over the middle bar as he descended down Spin Hopper and managed to dismount to the rope climb first and scale up to hit a buzzer in 37.93 seconds, winning our first of 4 safety passes. This was an unbelievable race that I don't see being surpassed this season, but who knows? Guess we'll have to just watch and see. The 2 fastest non-finishers to advance as wildcards were Tyler Yamauchi, who made it to Slingshot in 49.24 seconds, and Nate Hansen, who made it to Slingshot in 51.89 seconds. The night was full of incredible runs, with a few firsts being added to the history books as well. Hopefully your favorites are still in it, or have yet to run like mine, but either way, you'll not want to miss any of the action still to come this year. So make sure to catch American Ninja Warrior every Monday this summer on NBC, then come back for your full recap and theories as we make our way through Season 15. So as always, until next time, enjoy the show!